Did you know that around 89% of all wealth in the United States is held in non-cash assets? Things like stocks, IRAs, and real estate. But the problem is, many nonprofits are only asking for cash and may not even be set up to receive a non-cash gift like this. If you're only asking for donations from people's checking accounts, you're competing for the smallest part of their wealth. And the data is there to back this up. There was a study out of Texas Tech University which analyzed hundreds of thousands of nonprofit tax filings over a 5-year period. What did it find? Nonprofits that accepted only cash gifts saw their contributions grow by just 11%. Those that accepted any type of non-cash gifts, however, like stocks, property, or plan gifts, they grew by around 50%. And those that accepted stock gifts specifically grew by about 66%. That's a massive performance gap, and it has nothing to do with size or sector. The nonprofits that grew fastest had the processes in place to receive the types of gifts that work best for their donors. And if you aren't set up to receive things like gifts of stock, QCDs, or planned gifts, it could cost you a donation. I know of an organization where a major donor tried to give a nonprofit $1 million in appreciated stock right before year end. But the organization didn't have a brokerage account or didn't even know how to accept a gift of stock. And because they couldn't move quickly enough before December 31st, the donor redirected the gift to another nonprofit that was prepared. That missed setup cost them $1 million and a donor relationship that could have lasted for years. The thing is, non-cash giving isn't complicated, but ignoring it can be very expensive. And the nonprofits that start making these small shifts now likely will be the ones who see major growth over the next 5, 10, 20 years, simply because they open the door to all different types of generosity. So here's the good news. You don't need to become a financial expert to do any of this. Your job isn't to manage investments or understand the stock market. Your job is to educate your donors, to help them understand all the ways that they can give and what the different benefits are so that they can choose the ones that work best for their goals, their tax strategy, and their values. When a donor gives stock instead of cash, it opens up some extra opportunities, both for the donor and for the nonprofit. Let's start by talking about the benefits for your organization. First, you open yourself up to potentially larger contributions. When donors give appreciated stock, they can often make bigger gifts than they could if they were giving just in cash. They're likely avoiding paying capital gains taxes, so they can give more, and it doesn't actually even cost them anything extra. Plus, when you invite donors to give from their total wealth, not just what's sitting in their checking account, in their head, you're likely unlocking a much larger pool of potential support. The second potential benefit for your organization is long-term sustainability. Stock gifts can become part of an ongoing giving strategy. Some donors make annual stock gifts. Others use them to start an endowment or fund a multi-year program. That kind of support can give your organization breathing room to plan ahead. The third benefit for your organization is flexibility. You can keep the stock invested to support your long-term sustainability, or if you need the cash now to support your programs, you can choose to sell it without being subject to capital gains taxes. As long as donor intent and your policies are followed, your board has the ability to decide what fits your financial goals best. First, when a donor gives appreciated stock directly to a nonprofit, they can avoid paying capital gains tax on the increase in value. If they were to sell that same security and then subsequently donate the cash, they'd owe taxes on the gains, which effectively means a portion of their gift goes to the IRS instead of your organization. By donating the shares directly to the nonprofit, the full value of the stock goes to the cause they care about. Second, as long as the stock has been held for more than a year, the donor can often deduct the full fair market value of that gift on their taxes. That means they're getting credit for the entire current value of the stock, not just what they originally paid for it. So, in many cases, they're giving more and saving more all at once. A third potential benefit comes from when a donor owns a highly appreciated stock but doesn't want to give up their position in that stock. Instead of selling the stock and writing a check, the donor can give those shares directly to the nonprofit. After the donation, they can then use cash to buy the same stock again, effectively resetting their cost basis. The result is the same charitable gift, the same investment position, and significantly lower capital gains taxes in the future. So let's look at an example scenario. Imagine our friend Tony has 200 shares of stock at $100 each. That means his original investment was $20,000. 10 years later, those shares are now worth $300 each, so his investment has grown to $60,000. Now, Tony is charitably inclined and wants to make a donation. If he sells those shares first and then donates the cash, he'll owe capital gains taxes on the $40,000 increase in value that he occurred. To simplify things, let's assume a 20% capital gains rate. So that means he'll have to pay Uncle Sam $8,000 in taxes, which in turn means the nonprofit would receive a $52,000 donation instead of the full $60,000. But if Tony donates those shares directly to the nonprofit, no capital gains tax is owed. He can deduct the full $60,000 fair market value on his taxes, and your organization receives the entire $60,000 gift. So, by giving the stock directly instead of selling it, Tony saves on taxes, gets a larger deduction, and the nonprofit gets a bigger gift. Everyone wins. And it's a perfect example of how stock donations can make a real difference for both sides. Now let's zoom out. If your organization received $1 million last year in individual donations, and even a small fraction of those gifts came from donors who sold appreciated stock before giving, you could have sent tens of thousands of dollars to taxes that never needed to be paid. And unless something changes, you'll send that money away again this year. Okay, at this point, some of you may be thinking, this all sounds great, but my donors don't have stocks. Well, let me tell you, here's the reality. First, you do not actually know that. According to Gallup, 62% of Americans report owning stocks, whether that's directly or through retirement accounts or investment funds. Most nonprofits don't ask. They don't mention it, and they don't give a donor a reason to bring it up. So how would you even actually know? Second, your donor base is not static. The people giving to you today won't be the only people giving to you 5 years from now. Some current donors will accumulate assets, others will sell businesses, they'll receive inheritances, or retire with an investment account. Be ready when they are. Another common concern I hear is, I wouldn't even know what to do with the stock after we received it. And honestly, that's the easiest part. For many nonprofits, the answer is simple: you don't keep it. Oftentimes, organizations liquidate stock gifts immediately and transfer the proceeds into their operating account, just like a cash donation. All right, now that you understand the opportunity, let's talk about what to do next. I'm going to walk you through 3 steps that will open the door to non-cash giving in your organization. Steps that any nonprofit, no matter the size or budget, can implement right away. The very first step is simple: open a brokerage account. This is where you'll receive and sell any stock or asset gifts. And the best part, it can cost nothing but a little time to set up. You can open an account from a low-cost firm like Fidelity or Charles Schwab. They allow nonprofits to open accounts for free with no minimum balance. It's quick, it's online, and once you've done it, your organization is officially able to accept and receive gifts of stock. Now, this is not an investment account for trading or speculation. This account is purely a receiving and liquidation tool, a holding place that makes you ready to say yes the next time a donor offers a gift of stock. Because here's the thing, you can't receive what you're not set up to accept. And then if a donor calls tomorrow and says, I'd like to give you $25,000 in appreciated stock, but you don't have an account ready, that gift is either going to get delayed or it's going to go to another charity that is prepared. Once your brokerage account is open, the next step is to get your internal process in place. You want to make sure everyone on your team knows what happens when a non-cash donation comes in. Start by creating or updating 2 key documents: your investment policy statement, or IPS, and your gift acceptance policy. Your investment policy statement outlines how you handle any assets that come through your brokerage account. Things like who has access, how quickly you'll sell the gift, and how the proceeds are transferred into your main operating account. And if you want some guidance on creating your IPS, check out our on-demand webinar resource, How to Build an Investment Policy Statement for Your Nonprofit. Your gift acceptance policy is just as important. It clearly defines what types of gifts your organization will accept, who approves them, and how they're acknowledged. This protects your organization, keeps you compliant, and gives your staff and board confidence when those first gifts arrive. Okay, now you're set up to receive non-cash gifts. The next step is to let your donors know. Many donors don't know they can give gifts of stock or IRA gifts through qualified charitable distributions, or make contributions directly from their investment account. And when they don't know, they default to what's familiar, writing a check or giving online. The easiest way to change that pattern is to weave it in naturally into the communications you're already sending. Think your website, your appeals, newsletters, and social media posts. You're not trying to teach donors everything about how these gifts work. You're just trying to plant the seed and keep that door open. Here are a few ways you can start doing that. Add a Ways to Give page to your website. We don't want to muddy up your donate page too much. However, we do want to give the people that are supporting you the education they need to make an informed decision that's best for them. That's why we recommend having a Ways to Give page that outlines different ways donors can support your organization. And as a bonus, we have a Ways to Give page template that you can use to build or update your current page to include things like gifts of stock, qualified charitable distributions, and other giving options. It's a great starting point if you want to make your giving options clearer and help more donors discover all the ways there is to support your mission. Another way you can do this is by including a PS in your appeals or sprinkling the idea into your success stories. Things like your mailers, social posts, newsletters, and year-end messaging, your goal is to start planting seeds of awareness so donors start realizing they have more than one way to give. Let's take direct mail as an example. If you're already sending appeals, just add a line or two that introduces the idea. It could be something like, one of our longtime donors recently made a gift of stock, something many people don't realize is even an option. That gift helped us provide emergency housing for Cameron, who came to us, and continue your story. Even better, use the PS line, since we know that is one of the most read parts of any appeal. Something like, PS, did you know that you can make a gift of appreciated stock and potentially save on taxes? Visit our Ways to Give page to learn more. You could also include a small checkbox on your remit envelope that says, I'd like to make a gift of stock. The goal is to make them aware that your organization is open to these types of gifts and is ready when they are. I hope now you realize you don't need a complicated new strategy or a financial background to start attracting gifts of stock. You just need to make it possible and known. And now you know exactly how to do that. Open your brokerage account, put your internal processes in place, and start educating your donors. To make this even easier, we do have a few free resources that you can grab today that we mentioned. Those include the Ways to Give page template, ready to drop into your website so donors can see all the ways that there are to support your organization. And also our on-demand webinar recording, How to Create an Investment Policy Statement for Your Nonprofit, to help you build your IPS when you're ready, so you're ready for your first gift. If this raised questions for you, or if you're thinking about how an investment manager dedicated to nonprofits can help you, you can schedule a conversation with the nonprofit team at Carnegie, and we're excited to meet you.